sassy, too grown, too fast, has an attitude problem. These are some of the ways that our black girls are stereotyped in society. And today we are talking about how the adultification bias of black girls is affecting them and how we can do better. So what is adultification bias? So this concept refers to the tendency to perceive black girls as more mature, older and less innocent than their white peers. So this bias results in harsher treatment in a vast range of settings, the education system, the legal system, and social contexts. So that means that the vulnerability and the innocence of young black girls are often overlooked. Adultification has quite serious consequences. It can erode self-esteem, emotional well-being, and a child's sense of innocence. So a lot of the research that we have on this does originate in the US. There are now some emerging UK-based research that is looking at this problem in the education, healthcare, and youth justice system. So what does this look like in society? So this looks like the misinterpretation of behaviour, for one. So actions that would otherwise be looked at as youthful misbehaviour or youthful mischief in white children, white young people, are perceived as aggressive, as threatening, when those same behaviours are exhibited by young black girls. So that can result in disproportionately harsher treatment, disciplinary actions. So you'll get tougher disciplinary actions because you are misinterpreting the behaviour. So let's take in school, for instance, black girls would therefore would be more subject to harsher punishments as opposed to pastoral care. Another way is their emotional needs are often overlooked because there is this assumption of maturity that leads to the neglect of their emotional needs. There is no emotional support or safeguarding. And we obviously cannot ignore that intersectionality with trauma and systemic racism. So when it comes to their behaviour, which are often trauma responsive, for example, in the youth justice system, in the legal system, these behaviours are criminalised as opposed to seen as mental health concerns that requires a different level of support. And there is a general lack of safe spaces for young black girls. You know, educational and professional settings are not often seen as safe spaces. They don't have the cultural safety, for example. So that often leaves young black girls having to navigate systemic racism without adequate institutional support. So while adultification bias is primarily perpetuated by societal systems like the healthcare system, justice system, educational system, parents play a crucial role in creating a sort of protective buffer for our girls within the home. So I'd love to share 6 ways in which parents in the home can create that environment that can sort of help mitigate these the experiences of the black girls, our young black girls, and what they face outside of the home, to help them build their resilience so they can better handle society when they have to go out and exist within it. So the first one I think is really important is emotional affirmation. Letting our younger black girls know that it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to cry, to show your fears. You don't always have to be strong. You know, let's counter that message of toughness that the society thinks that black girls innately have, which isn't true. And I know that sometimes it can be difficult for parents who are raising black children because we feel like we have to make them strong, make them resilient, because how else are they going to survive in a world that's, you know, that is a racist world? You know, how can they navigate these systems that maybe looks down on them? So we have this thing that we've got to give them that strength, but we shouldn't that shouldn't come at a cost of their innocence or at a cost of their softness. The second one is let's reclaim childhood spaces for our young black girls. Let's let them play. Let's let them have leisure time. It's not always about chores and working, although those things are important as well. Let's also encourage appropriate play and downtime and their creative expression. Let them retain their right to be seen as a child for as long as possible. Number 3 is it's about language awareness, really, and this can be quite common in young girls in general, but especially girls in Black and brown communities, especially the firstborn girl, who may have a lot of responsibility in the home because they're the firstborn girls. So there's all this expectations placed on her. But if we can avoid language like you've got to be a good example, because she might feel like she can't make any mistakes, she has to be perfect, things like you're so mature for her age, so things like this can sort of make her internalize that sort of adultification expectation. Number 4 is having or creating the opportunity to have open conversations about racism and bias. Creating a safe space for your child to express their emotions, to talk about any unfair treatment that they may have experienced, helping them to put those biases and experiences that they might have experienced into context to help them not internalize them as something wrong with them, as some sort of personal failure. Number 5 is teaching them emotional literacy and coping skills, teaching our Black girls how to name and process complex emotions without shame. That's very important, and also without sort of rushing them through it, and really just trying to equip them with a resilience against external invalidation. And number 6, I'm so passionate about this one, is modeling self-care and softness. As a Black mother myself, I want to encourage other Black mothers to let our children see us having downtime, looking after ourselves, slowing down, being soft, demonstrating self-compassion and emotional openness as parents, especially us as mothers. Let's provide our daughters with a living example that strength and softness can coexist. These are some of the things that I implement in my home, making sure that they're consuming books and media that shows joy, that not everything is a struggle. Stories, films, movies, books about Black girls being carefree, being joyful, playing, laughing, doing silly things, and family activities that are just about joy and being playful. Especially in Black and brown households where there is a push for responsibility and educational achievement, which again, I'm not saying is not important. Absolutely, those things are important, but just being able to exist without it being tied to some sort of achievement or outcome, This one is super important as well. Teaching them how to stand up for themselves in a childlike, appropriate manner, especially when they are being treated unfairly. And that comes first with teaching them how to recognize unfair treatment and giving them the tools and the language to help them stand up for themselves, to speak up for themselves. And looking in your local area for resources, community groups, things that are geared towards building up Black girls, their self-esteem, and their leadership qualities in age-appropriate ways. So I really just want to end this video by giving you some hope, really, and to let you know that we can't change society, not overnight anyway. We can't control out there, but we can control what happens in our home. And in our home, let's intentionally nurture our young Black girls' emotional world. Let's preserve their rights to childhood and help them and teach them and provide them with tools to resist and to recognize societal biases. Let's create a home environment where there is softness, emotional softness, open dialogue, and cultural pride. Let's make home a place that creates that crucial buffer against external invalidation and premature adultification. Let's do our best to help our young Black girls hold on to their childhood for as long as possible.